Hey, it's Coach Jamila, and today we are talking about self-care after going through an unwanted divorce or heartbreak. Now, when you go through a severely emotional trauma, like, an unwanted divorce where you're experiencing that heartbreak and you're very sad and you're very depressed, one of the first things to get neglected is, of course, yourself, because sometimes you feel so down and so sad that you just don't have the motivation, the desire, the energy, none of it to do anything for yourself. And part of that is understandable because you're going through a grieving process. You're going through a loss. Life as you know it, is no longer. If your relationship was a decade or more, no doubt this person was your best friend. Now that's not the case anymore, so you're losing a friendship, which sometimes can be more painful than anything else. I know when I went through that was the biggest source of pain for me, was the loss of the friendship, because that had been my closest friend for a decade and a half. But one of the things that eventually I had to come to realize, of course you're grieving, you're going to be sad, you're going to be crying and things like that, but at the end of the day, you have to take care of yourself, because life at some point life is going on, but at some point you're going to come out of it, and you don't want to set yourself up to be in a situation to where now you have to kind of undo some damaging things that you may have done to yourself while you were in the grieving, sad, depressed phase of this whole healing process. So I'm going to give you 3 tips, nothing you haven't heard before, but I'm going to explain to you why they're so important. So the first thing, as you can imagine, if you know anything about me, if you've watched any of my videos, the first thing that's extremely important when it comes to self-care is exercise. And this is because when you do any type of cardio, especially when you step up the intensity, it causes an endorphin release. Those are the feel-good hormones. And so that's going to be a natural way to relieve some of that sadness and depression that you're feeling because of your heartbreak, okay? Now, do you need to work out 6-7 days a week for like an hour? Absolutely not. I personally advocate doing what you can. And for me, that minimum standard, and what I have been consistently doing now, going on 7 or 8 months nonstop, is 4 days a week, at least 20 to 30 minutes. And that's it. And one way to make it fun is to give yourself themes. So I work out Monday through Thursday, okay? And Monday is Mindset Monday. So I do some extreme cardio, because I feel like cardio really, like I said, it causes an endorphin release, really opens your mind, helps you clear, negative emotions and things like that. So that's why I call it Mindset Monday, intense cardio. Tuesdays are Tummy Time Tuesday. On Tuesdays, I do an ab workout, focus on the abs, the tummy, right? Then Wednesday, I call Wednesdays Weighted Wednesday, and I do a workout that uses weights. And then Thursdays, I call it Turned Up Thursday, and I do a dance cardio routine. Now, for me, I have access to an online workout streaming service that has over 600 workouts. And so I don't do the same workouts twice very often. And if I do, I have my favorites here and there. So that allows me to have that variety. So that's the second thing I'll want to say to you about your exercise, is you want to make sure it's reasonable, like 4 days a week, 20 to 30 minutes per day. You want to make sure that you have variety mixed in there. You don't want to be doing the same thing every time or something that's boring, because then you really won't be motivated. And then third, I do mine first thing in the morning. Now, I have a 15-month-old, so when I get out of bed, I get him exercise and it's done for the day. Now, when I was years ago, prior to getting remarried, when I was going through my divorce and was depressed and sad and all those things, I lived alone in an apartment. And actually my apartment was over a garage, so I could make as much noise as I wanted, walking around and things like that. And I would work out later in the day, because that's when I had more energy. I didn't have the energy first thing in the morning, and I had to go to work, and I would work out later in the day after I had a few meals under me. So you can determine what time of day works best for you, but I recommend that you work out, like I said, 4 times a week, 20 to 30 minutes per day, and make sure you have that variety, okay? If you want some additional info on that or help, let me know, okay? Now, the second thing that I'm going to recommend as far as when it comes to your self-care is, of course, eating right, and specifically avoiding emotional eating. Now, Sugar makes me feel good. And I ain't gonna sit up here and pass no judgment and try to be, acting like I'm some kind of a food, I don't know, just a food guard, or I don't even know how to say that. But the point is that the occasional treat, as far as I'm concerned, don't hurt, because I'm going to work out and create the caloric deficit to give myself the room, to have that treat. What you don't want to do is just be consuming treat after treat after treat, and there is no deficit because you're not exercising or you're not modifying your diet in any other way, and you're basically now eating emotionally. You're eating to soothe the pain, to make yourself feel better, to find comfort. Carbohydrates actually do have that comfort effect. They cause that hormone release in the brain, which is why when we're sad and depressed, we tend to crave, comfort food. That's why it's called comfort food, because it really does actually make you feel comfort. But the after effects the next morning when you get on the scale and you can't snap your pants, then you just feel more depressed, more like, ugh. And if you're going through an unwanted divorce and you're gaining weight, then you're feeling like, now, I don't look my absolute best, because of course, if you ever have to run into your ex, you're not wanting to look like you didn't gain weight and fell off, since your relationship ended. So that just makes you feel worse, and it just kind of is a circular cycle there. So be careful with emotional eating. Are you going to indulge a little bit, have a treat a little bit, make yourself feel better? Yes. Just make sure you balance it out by either using an app like MyFitnessPal, which is free to count your calories, and if you're following my suggestions, making sure that you are working out, and use a heart rate monitor so you know how many calories you burned. Put that into MyFitnessPal, and then you can make the adjustment. And none of this is complicated, because I understand if you're sad and depressed and you're dealing with your life being in, rug pulled out from under you, feeling like you're in shambles or disarray or disorientation or just chaos. You feel like, I can't do just one more thing. This is not something that's going to overcomplicate your life at all. In fact, it'll give you a sense of control over at least one thing, in your life, and that's you and your health, okay? So then the last point is sleeping. Now you might, if sometimes when we get depressed, we can sleep too much, we sleep in, whatever. But a lot of times, the sleep is not good. You're staying up too late, or, you're just falling face down on the couch in the middle of the day napping. But you really want to make sure that you maintain a consistent bedtime and wake up time. If you can try and get into the bed every night around the same time and wake up every morning around the same time, this is going to be really good and beneficial for you as far as your health goes. So those are just my 3 simple tips. Like I said, nothing you haven't heard before. Just, a little bit further explanation of how and why you want to make sure you implement that when you're going through something like heartbreak, okay? Because you really have to take care of yourself so that your physical health does not interfere with your emotional healing, okay? Because you're going to start the process of healing. And if you don't feel good physically, then that's going to hinder that, and it's going to cause you can get stuck, okay? So again, that is exercising. Remember, 4 times a week, 20 to 30 minutes per day with variety, okay? And eating right, which means avoiding emotional eating, or at least creating the caloric deficit for the occasional treat through counting your calories and working out. And finally, making sure your sleep is good by going to bed in the evening around the same time and waking up every morning at the same time. Simple tips, but super helpful, okay? Now, if you have been through an unwanted divorce, you're already kind of in the healing process, but you've at least come to the place to where you feel like, you know what, I do want to be in a new relationship going forward, but I have some fears, some self-doubt. I need to work on my confidence. If you're struggling with those issues, I want to invite you to join my private Facebook group, Get Real and Heal, Life After an Unwanted Divorce. I'll put the link in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. And I'll look forward to seeing you here or in my group.